Good morning. Looks like we made it. We got into 2020 after all. I know it's just a transition on the calendar, but there is that sense that 2020 was a tough year and now we're in 2021. And we give God thanks that He has been with us in that journey. And I want to thank you as well. Many of you have been with me on this journey. And my purpose was always just to try and have a thought for today, to try and bridge the gap between being able to get to see many of you, spend time with you, talk to you, minister to you, but also the opportunity of us being together on a Sunday in church. We greatly miss that. We're very thankful for what we do have and for those that come out, but we realise that there are others who, for very good reasons, can't come out, and we miss you as well. But we're living and hoping for a day when we will have that back to church day, where there'll be a big announcement and we're allowed to bring people back into church and sit wherever you can. And we don't know about masks or anything else, but we'll take one day at a time. January looks like it's going to be business as usual, as it has been for these last 8 or 9 months. But we don't know what February, March, April holds, but we'll hold on, we'll keep praying and keep trusting. And in the meantime, I want to keep doing these thoughts for the day, just to get us to that point where we are back to what we can hopefully call normal again. This morning I want to think very briefly about a story contained within the Old Testament, way back at the start in the book of Genesis. It's a story that I remember hearing as a teenager at either a watch night service or a New Year's Day service. Dr. Rogers in Dungannon preached it, and it's stuck with me literally up until this day for many, many years. The story of Joseph, who had been sold into slavery by his brothers, and he had ended up in Egypt. There had been a famine in the land, and the brothers realised that the only place there was grain was down in Egypt, and so they knew that they had to go to Egypt. Now, Egypt was not necessarily a friendly place. It was a hostile place to a certain extent, and so they went begging. But little did they know that when they got to Egypt, their brother that they had sold, the brother they had got rid of basically, the brother they had lied about to their father, he was actually already there in Egypt, and he was doing a work that saved many, many lives. He had been told in a dream that it was important that they used their storehouses to store grain because there were years of famine coming. And those years of famine didn't just affect Egypt, but the lands all around Egypt. And so many countries came down to Egypt to get the grain. Now, what the brothers didn't know was that the person they were going to be dealing with was actually their brother. Now, whatever way Joseph was able to disguise himself, maybe with all the Egyptian makeup or whatever, he was able to recognize his brothers. And there's a story there which I would encourage you to read sometime. I can't explain it in 2 or 3 minutes this morning. But it ended up that they had to come back because they found in their sacks basically something that belonged to the court in Egypt, and they were brought back and almost shamed as thieves stealing from someone who had looked after them. But the problem was that Joseph didn't want to let them go. He didn't want to lose contact with them. There was forgiveness in Joseph's heart in an incredible way. He didn't deserve, they didn't deserve his forgiveness, but yet he still forgave them. And there's this wonderful scene. I just want to read it for you. It's really in chapter 45 of Genesis, where it says, "Then Joseph could no longer control himself before his attendants, and he cried out, 'Make everyone leave my presence.' So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, 'I am Joseph. Is my father still living?' But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Then Joseph said to his brothers, 'Come close to me.' When they had done so, he said, 'I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing or reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance.'" Wow, how gracious Joseph was. What the brothers meant for harm, God meant for good. God had sent Joseph ahead of them, knowing what the future held, knowing what was going to happen, knowing what their needs were going to be. He had sent Joseph ahead so that Joseph would be there to meet them. Joseph would be there to look after them. Joseph would be there to save their lives. And friends, I don't know what your 2021 looks like. Last year we made so many plans. We had all this wonderful family organisation doing holidays and doing weddings, and everything else was going on, and then all of a sudden it was closed down and we didn't see it coming. But God was there to meet us. Every day God was there to meet us. And I promise you, as we step into this new year, as we're now on the threshold of it, standing looking into it the very first day, wondering what this year holds, God is ahead of us. God has, in a sense, sent Joseph ahead of us to preserve life, to be there for us. So that every corner we go round, God is there to meet us. Every hill we have to crest and go down the other side, God is there to meet us. God is there for us this moment at the start of this new year. And He will be with us again at the end of this new year when we come to stand on the threshold of 2022. But God has promised that He will never leave us nor forsake us. He's encouraged us, as we thought at our prayer meeting the other night, to be bold and to be strong and to be courageous, to be that person who has to step out into the new year, has to trust God, that God is already there. God has plans and purposes. And I know there have been silver linings coming out of the whole COVID thing. There's also been tears and much heartache, but God has also been working His plan. I'm excited to see what He's going to do this year. I trust you are too. But don't fear the year, because God is already in this year. He's already sent Joseph ahead of us to meet us around every corner. May God bless you in 2021. Thank you for your company. Thank you for sticking with me. We'll keep us going as long as we need to. But thank you for being with me this day. Happy New Year. God bless.